So there I was, just casually scrolling through my phone during a slow shift at the coffee shop when I saw it. My face plastered all over the screen, but not in any normal, look at this cute dog type of way. No, this was the kind of viral that makes you want to crawl under a rock, or better yet, disappear into thin air. There I was, mid-slurp of a latte, utterly unaware that a random stranger had been filming me and not in a flattering way. Well, let's just say the moment was awkward doesn't even begin to cover it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. How does a normal guy, just some dude who loves quiet Saturdays, obscure podcasts, and absolutely zero drama, end up internet famous overnight for something so ridiculous? I mean, seriously, the clip made me look like a cross between a surprised owl and someone who'd forgotten how to swallow. And yet, there it was, popping up on every platform like it was the latest must-see viral sensation. Honestly, I kept refreshing the notifications, hoping it was just some kind of sick joke. But no, the views kept climbing, the comments rolling in, and the teasing from my coworkers started almost immediately. I remember Emily, who usually has this serene zen vibe going, spotting me and bursting out laughing before she could hold it back. And Jamie, my best friend, was already brainstorming ways to fix this whole disaster, which mostly involved ridiculous ideas like making a parody video or staging a public apology tour. Looking back, I had no clue this single, awkward moment would flip my quiet little life upside down so quickly. The question that haunted me most: how the heck does something this embarrassing snowball into viral fame overnight? And more importantly, what on earth was I supposed to do about it? Alright, so a little about me. Just your average guy named Alex, living quietly in a small suburban town where the most exciting thing tends to be the annual pumpkin festival. I work at the local coffee shop, which is kind of my happy place. Nothing too flashy, just the smell of fresh espresso, the hum of the espresso machine, and the comforting regulars who come in every morning, nod their hellos, and order their usuals without fail. It's a routine, boring in the best possible way. I'm not exactly someone who craves the spotlight. Honestly, I prefer blending into the background, soaking up my podcasts during slow shifts, or catching up with Jamie after work. Jamie's the kind of friend who always brings a bit of chaos, but in a way that somehow feels like an upgrade to my otherwise predictable days. So, on the day this all started, the day that changed everything without me even noticing, I was just doing my usual thing. It was a pretty quiet Wednesday afternoon, the kind where the rain outside makes the coffee shop feel a bit cozier. I was wiping down the counter when I noticed this guy kind of lurking near the door, phone in hand, but not ordering anything. I figured maybe he was just waiting for a friend, or maybe he was one of those people who use the cafe as their office without actually buying anything. No big deal. What I didn't realize was that this guy was filming me, and, not in some artsy, look how cool the barista is kind of way. Nope, he was capturing the exact moment when I got caught mid-sip on a latte, one of those ridiculous faces you try so hard not to make when your drink is way hotter than expected, and trust me, I totally failed. I mean, sure, I'm all for funny moments. I crack jokes with Jamie, I don't mind a bit of teasing here and there from Emily, but this was different. This was like having your most embarrassing blooper reel broadcast on every giant billboard in Times Square, if Times Square happened to be the infinite scroll of the internet. The thing that really got me worried wasn't just the filming, it was that whole feeling of being watched without knowing it. Like, I never thought much about it before, but suddenly I was hyper-aware that maybe I wasn't just handling coffees, maybe I was unwittingly performing for an audience. And that kind of shattered my little comfortable bubble. Meanwhile, life outside the coffee shop was just as normal as ever. I'd meet Jamie after my shift. We'd usually grab a quick bite or just hang at his place playing video games. Nothing particularly remarkable, at least, not until that video started blowing up. I was trying to prepare myself for whatever would come, but honestly, I had no idea how much my peaceful routine was about to be dismantled piece by piece. The worst part? I had no idea who the guy filming me was. He'd just vanished, disappearing into the rain like some mysterious stranger in a noir flick. And that unknown felt like this looming shadow hanging over the day, turning what should have been just another shift into the start of a very strange new chapter. So yeah, I was stuck wondering, what's next? How do you go back to your quiet life when it's no longer quiet at all? And without even knowing it, I was already wading into a situation that was about to test my patience, my dignity, and, well, my ability to keep a straight face. The moment the video started gaining traction was, well, honestly, a little surreal. I mean, picture your average Tuesday, minus the viral fame, of course, and suddenly you're the star of an internet clip that's racking up views faster than I could make a cup of coffee? The scene? Me, mid-sip of that latte, face contorted like I'd just realized I sent an embarrassing text to my boss instead of my best friend. Only this was happening on a global stage, minus the script and the director yelling, "Cut!" As soon as the first coworker caught wind of it, the teasing began. Emily, who normally floats around with this zen-like calm, couldn't hide her laughter when she saw the clip. She walked up to me with that smirk, shaking her head and saying, "Alex, you okay? Because your face looks like it just got hit with a triple espresso shot of shock." I tried to laugh it off, which mostly just made me choke on actual coffee. Classic me. Jamie, on the other hand, immediately swung into superhero mode. His brilliant solution? "We need to own this," he insisted, eyes gleaming with what can only be described as mischief meets misguided optimism. "Let's make a parody video, like a how not to sip your lattes tutorial. It'll go viral for all the right reasons." Thanks for the pep talk, but no. I was more interested in vanishing behind the espresso machine than starring in yet another cringeworthy internet sensation. But the video didn't care about my social anxiety or my "please don't recognize me" wishes. People started pointing at me on the street, and it wasn't just a casual, "hey, I know that guy" kind of thing. It was full-on, "hey, aren't you that guy from the laugh till you cry latte video?" One moment I'd be walking peacefully to the grocery store, and the next a stranger would come up, phone in hand, grinning like they'd just found gold in the middle of a spreadsheet. I found myself stuck in this bizarre loop. Each time a new notification pinged, my heart did this weird mix of hope and cringe. I'd open messages from random strangers, some funny, some weirdly obsessed, and a handful that just made me question humanity. "You're my spirit animal," one guy sent. I'm still not sure if that's a compliment or just polite sarcasm. The fallout at work was a whole other show. Orders would come in, but every so often a customer would subtly, or not so subtly, mimic the infamous sip face, sometimes with a cheeky grin. Emily had to admit it was fun in a low-key way, but I could tell she didn't want me to feel like a punchline. Still, the teasing was relentless, and honestly, after a while, it started to wear me down. Trying to regain control, I figured stepping away from social media was the smart move. I deleted my accounts like a digital ninja, hoping the internet would just lose interest and move on. Yeah, right. Apparently, once you're one of those viral guys, you don't just unviral yourself with a few taps. Then there was the interview. Somehow, a local online magazine, of course, wanted to chat with me about my moment of accidental fame. Sitting there, trying to sound coherent while recalling the exact temperature of a latte that's just a touch too hot, felt ridiculous. The whole time, a small voice in my head was yelling, "Just don't laugh and spill coffee everywhere." But by far the weirdest part was the flood of unexpected messages, not just from fans, but from the guy who actually filmed it. The stranger from the coffee shop finally reached out, and the message was, "Stranger than I expected. Hope you're okay with me immortalizing your epic sip face." It's kinda my claim to internet fame now. I stared at that message for a good 5 minutes, fingers hovering over the keyboard, unsure whether to rage text back or just block him forever. And just when I thought I'd hit peak awkwardness, life threw another curveball. At Jamie's insistence, I agreed to let him post a behind-the-scenes video showing how uneventful most of my day really was, maybe as a way to humanize the internet meme. But instead of calming things down, it somehow stirred up even more attention. Suddenly, there were memes about my epic sip face skills, fan theories on what I was thinking, and even mini fan clubs. For a guy who likes quiet routines, this was like being trapped in a spotlight that flickered between blinding and completely unbearable. So yeah, at this point, it felt like the chaos was just getting started. And I kept wondering, was there any way to come out of this whole viral mess without losing my sanity? Or even worse, my dignity? After the whirlwind of memes, messages, and relentless teasing, I decided I couldn't just hide behind the espresso machine forever. There was that turning point, the moment where I sort of threw my hands up and thought, maybe I should stop fighting this viral thing and just go with it. It started small. Jamie, being Jamie, dragged me to this local open mic night, insisting I troll the crowd with a live sip face reenactment. I resisted at first, but then, standing in front of a room full of people who had already seen the video 100 times, I realized something odd. I was actually laughing with them. Not at myself, really, but kind of with them. The awkwardness wasn't the enemy anymore, it was the icebreaker. That night was surprisingly freeing. I began to realize that this accidental fame, awkward as it was, had cracked open a door. People weren't just pointing and laughing, they were connecting. I met some folks who recognized me and shared their own embarrassing stories, which somehow made me feel less like a weird viral anomaly and more like part of this strange, relatable human experience. Even work got easier. Emily turned from teasing to championing the whole thing. She joked that I was now the most famous barista in town, and customers came in asking for the Alex special with an extra shot of courage, whatever that meant. Jamie's parody video idea actually found an audience online, and somehow I got invited to speak at a local community event about handling unexpected fame, or whatever you call it when you just accidentally go viral because you burnt your tongue on a latte. And then came the weirdest twist of all. The stranger who filmed me showed up at the coffee shop one afternoon and, instead of causing drama, he apologized for the chaos. Apparently, he'd started out filming on a whim, but seeing how it affected me for real made him rethink his internet habits. We ended up chatting over a cup of coffee, the temperature monitored carefully this time. And I guess I could say we even became low-key friends. Looking back, this whole bizarre episode taught me something about authenticity, even online, where everything feels so curated and filtered. The more I tried to resist or control it, the messier and more uncomfortable it became. But when I stopped pretending to be anything other than my awkward, caffeine-burned self, things fell into place. Go figure. So here I am, just your everyday barista who accidentally became a viral meme. Life never promised to be neat or easy, right? But sometimes, those wildly embarrassing moments, ones you wish you could erase, end up opening doors you didn't even know existed. Ever had something totally mortifying turn into a weird kind of blessing? Because I swear, if not for that latte and that one terrible sip, I wouldn't have half the stories I'm telling now. And hey, maybe that's what makes life interesting after all.